It's been a big year for heel turns in WWE, with some of the biggest and best WWE superstars turning from babyface to the villainous heel, including the likes of John Cena and others. But could Paul Triple H Levesque and his creative team have some surprising heel turns on the horizon for us as we get closer to the end of 2025? In this countdown video, we're going to let you know 5 WWE names that could be set to turn heel later this year in this countdown video. Guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling, and today we're going to be talking about heels, the iconic heel turn. We've seen so many heel turns throughout history in WWE and wider professional wrestling, some better than others. This year, we had something we thought we'd never see on WWE television, which was John Cena, the ultimate babyface. Super Cena, go bad, turn on Cody Rhodes, and align, we thought at the time anyway, with The Rock and Travis Scott, and go on to win his 17th World Championship. Now, already he's back to being a babyface, and already there's comparisons between another failed heel turn and Stone Cold Steve Austin way back when, of something that just didn't work out the way WWE wanted it to, and they had to pivot to their top star becoming a babyface once again. But could we see more heel turns happen, and some maybe more surprising than others? We're going to let you know 5 names that could be set to turn heel at some point in the near future. Let's begin with Bayley. Now, with Bayley at the moment on Monday Night Raw, who really knows what direction this one is going in? Because, of course, Bayley, she's been portraying a babyface. She's been portraying a babyface ever since she won the Women's Royal Rumble back in 2024. That made her go on to WrestleMania. She defeated Io Sky, won the Women's Championship as a babyface, and you would think with someone who is so universally loved and respected in the form of Bayley, no one's got a bad word to say about Bayley, that she would work really well as a babyface. And even though she won the Women's Royal Rumble, she was never really a featured player going into that WrestleMania 40, so much so that people like CM Punk and others were quite vocal of the lack of Bayley being on posters and the lack of Bayley being front and center when it came to build to that WrestleMania. She kind of got overshadowed by Cody Rhodes and The Rock and even other storylines for World Championships like Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. And ever since then, she held the World Championship for a bit, but then Io Sky, would really, kind of felt like she was the breakout person in the Damage Control faction. And this year she's been feuding with, Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. First it was going to be a, tag team together, and then Bayley got taken out before WrestleMania. She wasn't actually injured. It was just because Becky Lynch was coming back. So really, for the second consecutive WrestleMania, she kind of got bumped off it, really, in comparison to, yes, she won at WrestleMania 40, but she wouldn't feel like, again, she was really featured at the time. And the thought process was, she maybe will go on to feud with Becky Lynch when Becky Lynch wins the Women's Intercontinental Championship, but that didn't really happen. And now you've got this storyline where Bayley is appearing regularly on Raw, but they're having these vignettes where she's conflicted and she's got these different voices in her head, and it looks like the one voice is our old hugger character, and the other one is the role model character, which is a heel, and she's kind of stuck between staying a babyface and reverting back to the hugger character that she had in NXT and early on in her WWE run. And then the other voice is the sort of role model, but the more villainous role model that we saw throughout the pandemic. So who knows which direction Bayley's going to go in and her character's going to go in, but who's to say that it doesn't go down a more villainous path? Whatever it may be, Bayley needs to change, because whatever she's been doing just isn't resonating enough. Maybe not necessarily with the audience, but actually the creative team of coming up with these creative ideas for her. These vignettes actually somewhat remind me of the late Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. When we first saw them, we sort of went, what even is this? He's playing like a children's TV Mr. Rogers-esque gimmick. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then you see the other persona, which is the Fiend, the villainous monster side. And I'm not saying that we're going to see Bayley become the female version of the Fiend, but maybe she does go down a bit of a darker path, and she's experiencing this kind of schizophrenic nature where she's got these different personalities and she's hearing these voices, and it leads her to do bad things, and actually her way of making amends, she's been talking about making amends and talking to Lyra Valkyria. Maybe the way of making amends is by attacking her, completely laying her out and having this unhinged side. So I think there's a real possibility here to do something really exciting and creative with Bayley's character. And I think that turning heel and kind of maybe suggesting that she doesn't even know what this darker side of hers doing, I think that could be really interesting for her to explore. So I wouldn't be shocked if Bayley's complete character changes to something much, much darker. Let's move on, but before we do, a reminder, this countdown video is brought to you in collaboration with all of our affiliates. You can see them throughout this video on the sidebar, including right there, Shed Meal Replacement Shakes and NordVPN, VeroShave, and others. All the details can be found out about every single one of them in the video description below. There'll also be the pinned comment in the comment section. You can get yourself some great products, you can save yourself some money whilst doing it, and you can find another way to support the channel. Your support really, truly is much appreciated. Let's move on and talk about LA Knight. Now, with LA Knight, this is quite curious. LA Knight, of course, has been a staple of the SmackDown roster ever since he was called up as Max Dupree and then initially turned back to LA Knight just when Triple H had taken over creative control of WWE back in 2022. He's always been a SmackDown star, initially a heel, but transitioned into a babyface in 2023. Now, recently, he's been moved over to Monday Night Raw. It was part of the swap involving Sami Zayn going to SmackDown. LA Knight went over to Raw, and a lot of people felt, it's probably overdue. He should be on Monday Night Raw. But in recent weeks, we've seen some tension building between LA Knight and Jey Uso. Now, they've been trying to tease that maybe Jey Uso, like this past Monday's episode of Raw, at the time recording this video, saw Jey Uso spear LA Knight, and the sort of suggestion is Jey Uso going to have this sort of darker side? Is that what we're going to see? And I kind of doubt that. Look, Jey Uso prints money for WWE in terms of merchandise, in terms of catchphrases, in terms of obviously his entrance and what have you. It just feels very unlikely they'd turn Jey Uso heel. Now, LA Knight's also someone that's incredibly popular, always gets a great reaction, always gets a great pop, does sell a lot of merchandise as well, but he's someone that, if he's a heel, as he was previously in WWE, that character that you're seeing on the screen right there doesn't really change all that much. It's only his opponents that change. LA Knight, in terms of the presentation, in terms of the merchandise, it's not going to change. LA Knight sold a ton of merchandise when he was a heel before. In terms of his pop that he gets from the audience, I doubt that will be any different. If anything, it might get even bigger. Sometimes we love a bad guy. We love the anti-hero. Previously, a criticism of LA Knight was that he's a rip-off of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Two people which, it didn't really matter if they were heels or baby faces, in the sense that the character really didn't change all that much. If anything, the problem when Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel in 2001 is that it was so far removed from the Stone Cold Steve Austin character that he became a coward. He became a sort of sniveling person trying to suck up to Vince McMahon, that actually, if they'd gone back to the Stone Cold Steve Austin that got over as a heel in 96, was actually, someone that was just a badass, and it didn't matter if they were a good guy or a bad guy, they were just Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I think that will be the same for LA Knight, and I think actually with that will probably come a lot more freedom, because LA Knight's biggest attribute is his ability to talk. Sometimes as a babyface, even if your character doesn't change that much, you can be a bit limited about what you're saying. You don't want to seem too harsh, too mean, because if you're too mean, people boo you, and that's not what you're looking for. You have to be a good guy. There's a very rare exception, but if LA Knight's a heel, you feel like that'll just unlock and allow him to unleash a lot more heel mannerisms that become very natural with this character. And I feel like LA Knight, if he does turn heel, he's got the potential to do something quite big on Monday Night Raw. Maybe even that's how he's going to get into that World Championship scene in the main event. We'll have to wait and see. But you feel like LA Knight, maybe now's the right time to turn him heel and really allow him to push for the World Heavyweight Championship in the process. What about Sami Zayn? We spoke about how LA Knight and Sami Zayn were traded, with LA Knight going to Raw. Sami Zayn went to SmackDown, and Sami Zayn is the brand new WWE United States Champion. So he's already having success. He'd never been a US champion before. He defeated Solo Sikoa to win that title. And Sami Zayn, he's still an affiliate of the Bloodline. So whenever Jimmy Uso's doing his thing on SmackDown, Sami Zayn's in and around that. Same with Jacob Fatu. But when it comes to Sami Zayn, it's a really, really interesting one. It's very clear, isn't it? Triple H has a vision of Sami Zayn, and that is the underdog from the underground, the underdog babyface character for the large majority, not the whole time, because of course when Triple H took over creative in 2022, Sami Zayn was a heel. It was really getting towards the apex of his storyline with the Bloodline. He was the comedic character in the Bloodline that was getting more popular. Moreover, he was the honorarius, and they had those fantastic segments where Zayn was making all members of the Bloodline break on television, including Roman Reigns, but he was still a heel at that time. Very quickly, though, what happens? Turns babyface, turns on the Bloodline. Really, that was about sort of 5-ish months into Triple H's tenure as the chief creative officer of WWE. Ever since then, Sami Zayn's been a babyface, and he's been portraying the babyface character that Triple H has had him portray for the longest time in NXT as well, which is this underdog character. And the underdog character has been successful for Zayn. He defeated Gunther at WrestleMania to win the Intercontinental Championship, breaking Gunther's record reign. He's the US champion. He's main evented WrestleMania with Kevin Owens, winning the tag team titles. But he's never been able to get that sort of next level of, right, this guy can be a world champion. This guy can be the WWE champion, or he can be the world heavyweight champion. And you feel like with him being on SmackDown now, could we see Sami Zayn win the WWE championship as a babyface? Probably not. Why? Cody Rhodes is on that brand, and he's the WWE champion, and he's the ultimate babyface. And WWE, maybe, doesn't look like they're going to turn him anytime soon, but hold that thought. Sami Zayn, if he wants to compete for the WWE Championship, of course they could do a babyface versus babyface feud, but you just feel like if Sami Zayn's gonna win the WWE Championship or SmackDown, he'd have to turn heel by doing it, and he's more than capable. Sami Zayn has had some fantastic moments in his WWE career as a heel. Now, the heel character he has portrayed has been someone that's maybe been this kind of a bit goofy, a bit loud, a bit obnoxious. And many people would also say, can that character be the WWE champion? Maybe he's got a better chance being WWE champion as a babyface. But there just feels like there could be something bigger at play here, doesn't there? Because I feel like the Sami Zayn character maybe does need a refresh, and maybe it's turning heel again, but being a bit more of a serious heel and going after the WWE Championship, going after the World Heavyweight Championship. We shall see, but I wouldn't rule out Sami Zayn turning heel at some point, even though it does look like Triple H prefers to book him as a babyface. Now, the Viper Randy Orton. Whenever we talk about heel turns, it feels like this guy's name continuously comes up because we are still waiting. Ever since Cody Rhodes returned to WWE in 2022, yes, over 3 years ago, we have been saying, when is Randy Orton going to turn on Cody? It's a matter of when, not if, because there is no way they would leave WWE that much money on the table. And there have been so many hints and subtle teasers over the last several years. Of course, a big chunk of it, Randy Orton missed about 18 months due to his back injury, so there's been so much time that hasn't been a thing. And during that time as well, Cody Rhodes was out of action, wasn't he, with his torn pec? So there has been, it's not been as if over 3 years of teasing it, not doing it. There have been extenuating circumstances, but certainly since Randy Orton returned in November of 2023, it's been a case of, when is Randy going to turn on Cody? Once Cody won the WWE Championship for the first time at WrestleMania 40, it was like, surely it's going to be any time now. But a lot of time has passed. It still hasn't happened. And Randy Orton is still sticking up for Cody right now. He's feuding with Drew McIntyre. He's having Cody Rhodes back since Drew McIntyre took out Cody, so Cody could go away and film Street Fighter. So they're still tying them in. But there have been multiple times, haven't there, where Randy Orton's been staring at the WWE Championship, and Randy Orton's been staring at the championship on Cody's shoulder, or he's handed the championship to Cody, and maybe he's held on to it for just a second too long. And it's that fable that's old as time, isn't it? Which is, don't trust a snake. He is the apex predator. He is the viper. He coils up and he will strike when you least expect it. It's an RKO from out of nowhere for a reason. And like I said, it's that fable which is, don't trust a snake because eventually it'll bite you. And when you ask it why did you bite me? Because I'm a snake. It's what I do. It's your fault for trusting me. And that's the same for Cody. Even though Randy Orton is his mentor, he will always turn on him eventually because Randy Orton wants to win the WWE Championship. So it feels like WWE is just waiting for the right time to do this. And it's something that they've always got in their back pocket, and it feels like they're always saving it. Now, it depends what they're saving it for. If they want to save it for a big PLE or a big You know, there's so much story there, and there's so much history there that they want to save it for a WrestleMania, or they want to save it for a SummerSlam. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, already once you get to September time, people's eyes do start looking towards next year's WrestleMania and go, all right, who's going to be the big matches? We know Cena's not going to be there. Could you do Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes in the WrestleMania main event? Yes, you absolutely could. Something to definitely consider. So maybe it is a case of WWE waiting. Maybe they wait until the end of the year. Maybe they wait until after Survivor Series or something like that, and then they start the big build towards WrestleMania. But Orton turning and going after Cody, going after the WWE Championship, it is inevitable. I think it's just a case of when WWE and Paul Levesque and his creative team feels like it's the right time to do it. And finally, if not Randy Orton, then maybe the WWE Champion himself, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, the fabled heel turn of Cody. Now, unlike Randy Orton, when I'm saying that it's going to happen, it's just a case of when is it going to happen. With Cody Rhodes and a heel turn, this one is constantly debated, isn't it? This one is constantly spoken about. Cody Rhodes' time in AEW was dominated, especially towards the end, by is he going to turn heel? When is he going to turn heel? He's got to turn heel. Listen to these reactions. Now, it was very difficult in AEW because he was being booed by the audience. The audience wanted Cody Rhodes to turn heel. In WWE, that's not so much the case. Cody Rhodes has been a beloved babyface in WWE. There's been no real yearning from the crowd. There's been not many mixed reactions or mixed receptions for Cody Rhodes. And when they have been there, maybe when he was doing that WrestleMania feud with John Cena, he's been very quick and very able to get the crowd back on his side. So he's never really had that mixed reaction for an extended period like, say, John Cena had or Roman Reigns had when they were being forced down the crowd's throat during Vince McMahon's tenure. So when it comes to that, Cody Rhodes isn't under pressure. Triple H isn't under pressure to turn Cody heel, but there have been pitches for him to turn heel. We know earlier this year, that whole thing about The Rock and Cody, I want your soul. Legitimately, Dwayne The Rock Johnson even said on the Pat McAfee show shortly after WrestleMania that he genuinely wanted Cody Rhodes to turn heel. He wanted to have a situation where it's him and Cody as a heel duo going up against babyfaces in WWE. Cody wasn't on board with that. The creative team wasn't on board with that. The Rock said, okay, put a pin in it. We'll revisit it. And he never showed up again on WWE programming because he didn't get his way. So there are people within TKO, maybe not necessarily WWE, but TKO, who are more inclined to give The Rock what he wants. The Rock is in the headlines once again recently for the right reasons, because a movie of his he's getting a lot of praise for, and is even talking he could get an Academy Award. And then, if The Rock has an Academy Award, he's got no reason to come back to wrestling. So TKO might say, look, the only way we can get him back is if we turn Cody heel, and he aligns with The Rock, and they do the final boss stuff. So that might be the reason why Cody turns heel. Maybe it's because at some point there comes another babyface. There's someone else that surpasses Cody and he's got to turn and reinvent himself. But there feels like there is this resistance from Cody to do that and a resistance from Triple H to do that. WWE are doing very well business-wise at the moment. They don't need to turn Cody heel because they need a shot in the arm. Far from it. Now maybe again that time will come later on. Maybe that time will come that Cody does start to feel stale and he does have that feeling of, you know what, I need to change. The business is starting to pass me by, but it just feels quite far off, doesn't it? But we shall wait and see. You never know. WWE might try and shock us at some point in the future. So there you go, guys. There are 5 WWE superstars that could turn heel in the future. Let me know your thoughts on the list in the comment section below. Which ones are more likely than others? Which ones do you think will happen, won't happen? When do you think these will happen? What would be your creative pitches for those names? Or are there any names I've left off the list? Let me know your thoughts as always in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.